Eggs, rice, pasta, beans, and frozen vegetables can turn into far more meals than most people realize. The difference isn't buying more food, it's knowing how to build from the basics. Most people think they need more groceries to cook better meals. So every week, they go shopping again. They buy new ingredients, new ideas, and more options. For a moment, it feels like they're prepared. But a few days later, they're standing in the kitchen again, looking at everything they bought and still thinking, there's nothing to eat. Food gets pushed to the back of the fridge. Pantry items stay untouched. Some things get used once and then forgotten. And by the end of the week, some of that food ends up in the trash. At that point, it feels like the problem is not having the right ingredients. But that's not the real issue. The real issue is not knowing how to use the basics you already have. Because if you understand how to build meals from a few simple staples, you don't need a complicated plan. You don't need constant grocery runs. You don't need perfect recipes. You just need a simple way to decide what to cook. In this video, we'll break down 5 simple pantry staples that can get you through an entire week. We'll count down from 5 to 1, and by the end, you'll see how a few basic ingredients can be turned into multiple meals without overthinking what to cook. Number 5. Frozen vegetables. Frozen vegetables are one of the most useful things you can keep in your kitchen, but they're often overlooked. Most people prefer fresh vegetables, and that makes sense. But fresh vegetables come with pressure. You have to use them quickly. If you don't, they go bad. Frozen vegetables remove that pressure. They last longer. They're already cleaned and cut, and they're ready to use at any time. But the real advantage is how flexible they are. If you open your freezer and see a bag of mixed vegetables, you already have options. You can add them to rice and make a quick meal. You can mix them into pasta for something simple. You can cook them with eggs for a fast scramble. You can turn them into a basic stir-fry. You don't need a recipe to use frozen vegetables. You just need to combine them with something else. That's what makes them valuable. They don't demand attention. They support whatever you're already cooking. And when you're not sure what to make, they give you an easy place to start. Number 4. Beans. Beans are another staple that most people underestimate. They sit in the pantry, often waiting for a specific recipe that never happens. But beans don't need a detailed plan. If you have canned or cooked beans, you already have a strong base for a meal. You can mix them with rice to create something filling. You can combine them with vegetables for a quick dish. You can add them to pasta for extra texture and protein. You can mash them and use them in wraps or sandwiches. Beans are simple, but they're powerful because they add substance to any meal. The mistake people make is thinking they need to use beans in a specific way. But you don't. You just need to use them. When you start thinking in combinations instead of recipes, beans become one of the easiest ingredients to work with. Number 3. Pasta. Pasta is often treated as something you cook when everything is planned. You think you need the right sauce, the right ingredients, and the right setup. But pasta doesn't have to be complicated. In fact, it's one of the easiest ways to turn random ingredients into a full meal. If you have pasta, you already have structure. Now you just need to add what you have. A simple sauce is enough. Leftover vegetables are enough. Even small amounts of ingredients can come together. You can combine pasta with beans, vegetables, or leftover protein. You don't need perfect combinations. You just need something that works. That's the advantage of pasta. It adapts. And when something adapts to your kitchen instead of requiring a perfect setup, it becomes reliable. Number 2. Rice. Rice is one of the most practical staples you can have. It works with almost anything, and it turns small amounts of food into complete meals. When your fridge looks random, rice gives you a foundation. Leftovers plus rice become a quick bowl. Vegetables plus rice become a simple meal. Beans plus rice becomes something filling and balanced. Rice doesn't need to be complicated. It just needs to be there. Because once you have rice, everything else becomes easier to use. It connects ingredients that wouldn't normally feel like a meal. And that's what makes it so useful. It reduces waste by giving you a way to use small portions of food instead of ignoring them. Number 1. Eggs are the most useful ingredient in your kitchen. Not because they're expensive or special, but because they work in almost any situation. When your fridge looks empty, eggs give you options. You can make a quick scramble. You can make an omelet. You can mix them with vegetables. You can eat them with bread.
You can even add them to rice.
Eggs don't require planning. They don't require preparation. They just require a simple decision. That's why they are number one. Because when everything else feels unclear, eggs bring things back to something manageable. They remove hesitation. And when hesitation is gone, cooking becomes easier. How these work together, here's where everything starts to connect. These staples are not meant to be used alone. They work best when you combine them. Rice with vegetables and eggs. Pasta with beans and vegetables. Rice with beans and eggs. You're not trying to create perfect meals. You're building simple combinations. That's the difference between overthinking and actually cooking. When you rely on combinations, you don't need to search for ideas. You already have them. Why this approach works: most people struggle in the kitchen because they start from zero every day. They open the fridge and ask, "What should I cook?" That question is too open. It creates hesitation and slows everything down. But when you have a few reliable staples, you don't start from zero. You start with structure. You know that no matter what your kitchen looks like, you can build something simple. That removes the hardest part of cooking: deciding what to make. Simple system you can use if you want to apply this in your own kitchen. Keep it simple. Always keep a few basic staples available: eggs, rice, pasta, beans, frozen vegetables. Then, every day, follow a simple process. Look at what you already have. Pick one staple as your base. Add whatever else is available. Cook something simple. You don't need a full plan. You just need a starting point. What changes after this when you start using your kitchen this way? A few things change naturally. You waste less food because you're using what you already have. You spend less money because you're not constantly buying new ingredients. And cooking becomes easier because you're not overthinking every decision. Instead of waiting for the perfect meal idea, you act on what's available. And that's what keeps everything moving. You do not need more groceries to cook better meals. You need a better way to use what you already have. These 5 staples may seem simple, but together they create structure inside your kitchen. And once your kitchen has structure, everything becomes easier. Cooking takes less time. Meal decisions become clearer. Grocery shopping becomes more intentional. And food waste starts disappearing naturally. That is exactly what PrepTerra is designed to help with. Instead of starting from zero every night, PrepTerra helps you turn the ingredients already in your kitchen into practical meal ideas you can actually make. Simply add the ingredients you already have, and PrepTerra helps you turn them into smarter meal ideas without the stress of starting from scratch. Organize your meals more efficiently, reduce food waste, save money, and make everyday cooking feel simpler and more manageable.